With the introduction of the Park Pass Reservation system at Walt Disney World, it's now vital to plan an itinerary in advance, but this can feel super overwhelming. So today I'm going to give you some top tips to help you plan your own Walt Disney World itinerary. So the first thing you need to decide is how many days are you going to spend in each park. Now, if you're visiting from the UK, typically people will visit between 10 days and 3 weeks, so you will have time to visit every single park, which is fantastic news. Even if you only did 1 day in each park, you'd still have time left to do other things in Orlando as well, if that's something you're interested in. But if you're going to spend a lot of time at Disney, it's worth working out which parks are your priorities. Magic Kingdom is the park that has the most to see and do, and this is the park most people will allot the most amount of days to. If you are a big fan of thrill rides or Star Wars or the Toy Story franchise, then Hollywood Studios is going to be perfect for you because all of these things you can experience there. So if you're into this, you might want to spend a few more days in that park. Animal Kingdom is perfect for nature lovers. If you love everything to do with animals and conservation, then this is a really great park to go and explore. It also has Pandora, which is such an incredible land. So again, it just comes down to your personal preference. If this is your interests, then this may be a park you're going to want to visit multiple times. Epcot is great because it has World Showcase where you can visit all the pavilions, which have lots to see and do, and also to eat. And then you have the front of the park where there are lots of rides and attractions. And then also throughout the year, Epcot hold a range of festivals. And if you're visiting during one of these festivals, then that is a great reason to go back multiple times to Epcot because you're going to have activities, live entertainment, and the food booths. So you might want to dine there. So this may be something you want to go to multiple times. So how many days you allot to each park really comes down to your personal interest. But I would always say the most amount of days to Magic Kingdom, just because that is the park that has the most you're going to want to see, do and experience. The more days you can spend at Disney, the better, because it will mean you have more time to fit things in, so you won't be rushing around and be as tired as if you try and just do 1 day in each park. If your itinerary only allows only 1 day in each of the Disney parks, never fear. There are ways to maximise your time in these parks, so don't worry about that. But if you do have days to play around with, I would definitely add the most days at Disney, and then any leftover days you can visit other attractions in Orlando. Something that is great about Disney is the park hopper system. Now, most people that buy the packages in the UK or tickets from the UK will automatically have park hopper tickets, and this means that you can visit multiple parks in 1 day. The only caveat is you have to wait until 2 p.m. before you can go to the next park. After that, you can hop about as much as you like. What I really like about park hopper is it gives you more flexibility. So if you have your itinerary planned out and you know where you're going to be each day, but there was something that you missed out on, you then have the option in the afternoon or evening later in your trip to go back to that park and experience it. So park hopper can become super handy because it means that you can fit in absolutely everything you want to do at Disney, because it gives you that flexibility to go to multiple parks in 1 day. If you are looking at going to Universal Studios as well, which most people will do if they're visiting Orlando, I would say allot at least 2 days to visit. Now, you can get park hopper tickets, and you will actually need them if you want to get on the Hogwarts Express, which is the train that goes between Hogsmeade and Diagon Alley, as they're both in 2 separate Universal parks. If you're visiting in a quiet time of year, I've actually done Universal in 1 day, and that was both of the parks. Now, admittedly, there are some rides that I don't do in Universal, such as a lot of the simulators, but everything I wanted to do, I managed to do. If you are visiting in a busier time of year, I would say you will need multiple days. Because Disney World has the most amount of parks out of all of the attractions in Orlando, that is going to be where you're going to want to spend the most amount of your time. And then you can fill in the rest of your itinerary with all of the other things you'd like to do in Orlando. One thing it is vital to add in is rest days. With the amount of walking you will be doing and the long hours in the park in the sun, you will definitely need some time to relax and recharge. It can feel counterproductive to take a day out because you're like, I'm only here for a set amount of time and I don't want to miss out. But they are such long days, you'll get so tired that actually adding in a rest day will enhance your trip massively. I have tried the park open to park close, let's ram everything into a day, and it just is not enjoyable. Some great rest day ideas are exploring your resort, going to a water park or visiting the outlets. And if you don't want to do a whole day, then you could just take a few hours. Something I personally like to do is use jet lag to my advantage, and as I'm up early, go to the parks as soon as they open. And then I usually stay for my lunch. Then I come back to the hotel or go to swimming, something like that, just to rest. And then in the evenings, I will go back out to the parks, have dinner, and your day is so much more enjoyable and you actually fit more in because you just got more energy, your feet aren't as tired, you're not feeling in a bad mood. And also in the afternoons is also the hottest and busiest time of the day. So if you can escape that, you're definitely going to enjoy it much more because you're not standing in the hot sun in queues for hours on end, because you're relaxing with a nice cold drink by a pool maybe. Once you find out how many days in each park you'd like to do, the next thing to think about is what days of the week to visit. Now typically crowd calendars were really helpful, so you would know how busy each park was typically on that day of the year, and then you could work out, okay, Magic Kingdom is quiet on this day, that's when I'll visit. Epcot is busy on that day, I'll avoid that, and it really helped. Now this year we have seen Disney World be busier than ever, so crowd calendars have kind of gone out the window. I think the busyness is because so many people are having to take their rescheduled trips this year, and it's also the 50th anniversary celebrations, so the combination of the two has made it very busy. The downside to this is that the tools we usually use to work out what days of the week to visit the parks kind of don't work anymore. So I'm going to give you my general rules of thumb that I use when planning my park days, but of course at the moment these aren't totally accurate, so take them with a pinch of salt. With Magic Kingdom, it's always best to visit during the week because the weekends are when it is the busiest. If you are visiting Magic Kingdom when there is a special event on, such as Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, and the park shuts early, it can seem like a bad day to visit because you're not getting as many hours in the park. But actually a lot of people think this way to avoid Magic Kingdom, so it can actually be quieter during these days. So even though you don't get as long in the park, you do have shorter wait times, so you can sometimes fit more in. When it comes to Epcot, it's a similar sort of rule in that weekdays are less busy and weekends are busier, particularly if there is a festival on. If there is a festival happening, the weekends are super busy because the locals come to enjoy everything that is on offer as well. So that does mean that it is a bit more crowded on the weekends. With Hollywood Studios, again, midweek is better because this park has become much more popular since the opening of Galaxy's Edge. With that and then Toy Story Land that was opened not long before it, the park has so many new things that a lot of people love to go and visit these big lands because they are massive franchises that people love, so it's much more busier. Animal Kingdom is the park that if you have to visit a park on a weekend, this can be a good option because out of the four, it is the quieter one. Water parks can be a bit busy on the weekend because again, locals are visiting, but it is a great idea to visit a water park as one of your rest days, and if it happens to fall on a weekend, that can be perfect because then you're not visiting the parks when they're super busy. When it comes to visiting Universal, it's kind of similar. The theme parks will be busier on the weekends as locals will come down and experience and have fun in them too. So if you can plan your parks during the week and on the weekends have your rest days, that could be a really great option. Something else to consider is your dining reservations. Once you have your itinerary, it makes it much easier to plan any table service dining reservations you would like to book because you're going to know where you are. What you'll most likely then do is book either restaurants in the park or in the resorts close to that park, and this will make your life so much easier because you won't be having to hop around and use different forms of transportation to get between all the different destinations. I've recently done a video all about how to plan your Disney World dining reservations, so I'll put that video in the description down below, and it has lots of tips and a step-by-step on how to do it. As soon as you have purchased your Disney World park tickets, you can book your Park Pass reservations. So I would suggest planning your itinerary either before you've bought your tickets or as soon as you buy them, because the quicker you book in your park reservations, the better. Some days do sell out, so if you leave it quite close to your trip to book your Park Pass reservations, reservations, some parks may be unavailable, which would be rubbish. If that did happen, then never fear. If you have the park hopper tickets, you would be able to park hop to the parks that are sold out. Definitely said parks too many times in one sentence then. But the best thing to do is book them as soon as you book your tickets. You can book up until January 2024, so you have a long period of time to be able to book, and then this way you know you have your guaranteed entrance to the parks on the days you want. As I say, these are my quick tips on how to plan your own Disney World itinerary. I hope it has been helpful. As I say, things are very different this year, so some of the things we've used previously in the past to help plan itineraries aren't as useful, such as crowd calendars, but with these general rules of thumb tips, then you should be able to plan an itinerary in a much more stress-free way and get the most out of your trip. Thank you so much for watching this video, and until next time, I hope you have a most magical day. Bye bye.